You asked for it, and here it is. A build with billions of poison ticks. Clearing tier 120 in 3 minutes. One that obliterates all content in the game and can easily take down the T8 bosses in 1 or 2 staggers. And of course, the build is also completely brain dead, yet the most fun I've had in D4 so far. So, in case you're wondering where I've been off late, I've been playing this build non-stop. It's the Heartseeker Andariel's Rogue build, your new favorite build. Because if you had a rough time choosing what build to play, here's yet another top build. And how does it work? For starters, it's a build entirely reliant on the Andariel Visage Helmet. This thing got buffed to the fucking moon in Season 5 and instantly turned it into the best item in the game. So why are we combining it with Heartseeker? Well, damn son, due to 2 things. First, it has an insane lucky hit chance, and that is the name of the game when it comes to the Andariel's helmet. And secondly, because Heartseeker fun LOL. I like builds where I can stand still and hold down one button, and that's exactly what you can do with this one. Because if you didn't know, Heartseeker has a built-in aimbot. Just lovely. Now there are 2 other Andariel builds out there, which we have covered previously. So what differs? Well, shit. For starters, the flurry version is melee. So there's that. But as a treat for getting your ass handed to you in close range, you are indeed dealing massive damage. This also goes for barrage, with the downside of your skill being a piss after busting a nut. When it comes to this version, though, it's providing slightly less damage on average, but with the benefit of being insanely noob-friendly. You have a massive barrier, and you can't miss. So if you're a shit newbie, then this is what I would recommend of the 3. With that being said, though, all of the 3 versions should be able to push up to tier 140 or so. And what about the regular Heartseeker build? Well, shit, that could quite possibly be the best of them all, but only if you're good at the game. If you're shit, then this one should be stronger. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about some important stuff. How the build works and how it plays. To scale our damage, we're using Shard of Varathiel. Wait, what? That doesn't help Andariel's? No, it doesn't. Oh, well, sort of. We're using it to start spending resource, which in turn allows us to run Preparation and Starless Skies for more damage when combined with the No Witness legendary node. Seeing as this build has no way to run Poison Imbuement, which is usually used to boost our damage, we had to cut a few corners, this being one of them. Other than that tough, we are scaling the build similar to the other ones, with a buttload of lucky hit chance and general damage multipliers. Using Shard of Varathiel also allows us to get attack speed capped with ease, because if you didn't know this yet, there are 2 attack speed buckets in this game. For Heartseeker, we're looking for 100% in the first one and roughly 80 in the second one. The first one is easy to sort via gear, and the second one is sorted via the Shard of Varathiel. This does, however, have an additional benefit, because usually you need to run Alchemical Advantage on your amulet to sort this out. And what do you think happens when everyone wants that passive? Damn right, the only way to obtain it is to sell everything you own and start sucking dick for gold. And we don't want to do that, or well, I don't. Now here's something important for you to know. You may see me shooting out bullets out of my dick in the gameplay, and what is that? That's Tyrell's might right there, an uber unique. I typically don't run Tyrells in the hordes, except for on the bosses because I want to pull in enemies instead. But when I do, that's 3 to 4 ubers right there. Is that obtainable for the average dad gamer? Nah, and that's why I've made different versions in the planner. You shouldn't lose much rolling the bare minimum. Honestly, I'm mainly using all of the uber uniques so I can stand still in the middle of infernal hordes and get pounded. Because daddy needs it, and you know it, my man or woman. Okay, daddy, can you explain the skill choices now, maybe? Sure thing, bud. What I'm currently rocking is Dash for mobility, Poison Trap for the damage bonuses it provides, along with Shadow Clone. And why not Death Trap, for example? Well, damn, that's because Dash provides excellent mobility, and I'd rather use that instead of Shadow Step. And Shadow Step is what usually provides Unstoppable. So by ditching that skill, we need to grab it elsewhere, and that we do via Shadow Clone. For the other skills, both Caltrops and Smoke Grenade are there merely to buff our damage, and damage equals good, my friends. There are also some other skills you can use. More on that later, though. Alright, that's enough. Let's check out the gear and aspects, shall we, so you can do your best to start copy-pasting. Starting us off, this is the only item you actually need for this build, the Andariels. For the Masterworking Prio, it depends on the rest of your gear, because you want to get your attack speed to 85% from your gear pieces. When that is sorted, you'll masterwork the all stats. We'll dive into the attack speed stuff later, but for now just know that 85% from gear pieces is enough, as you'll get the remaining 15 from the key passive to 100. I'm currently overcapped and could get more than 50% extra big dam if I had actual useful stats. Next up is Tyrell's Might. This is just godly for defensives, and you'll aim for the damage reduction when masterworking. Don't have it? No worries. Slap on something like this instead. Dark Shroud and Second Wind ranks will then be your most important stats. You can sort out your resistances in any way you prefer. I'll have one way to do it in the planner. For the hordes, however, the Shroud of Khanduras is just insane. By pulling in enemies, we can get all of our damage multipliers up along with easily blasting the enemies down via AOEE. This combo can easily get you to 1k ether or more. For gloves, the by far strongest item is Fists of Fate due to the humongous amounts of lucky hit and the crowd control it provides. You should be able to grab one with lucky GA rather cheap at least. 2 GA is rough though, so just focus on having the crowd control chance decently high. This is due to it working with the creeping death aspect, massively buffing your damage the more crowd controls you have. Either way, hovering your Heartseeker you can see how much lucky hit it has, and it should surpass 100% with ease. Anything above 100% also increases the Andariel Nova chance, so the more lucky hit the better. As Pantaloonies, I'm rocking these. The most important stat is Second Wind ranks. Now here's something important, so listen up, damn it, because if I get this question again, I swear to God I'm gonna lose it. We got Dark Shrouds spinning around us for damage reduction, and we're grabbing points in it. But it's not on the bar, Mr. Perragaming? Yeah. Read the description. We gain the shadows via the Umbrous aspect. Insanely important. Next, you want a slick pair of sneakers, so you're grabbing these and slapping on the concussive strikes aspect with ease. All right, on to the weapons. For starters, you have to grab 100% chance for Heartseekers to cast twice, or well, 96.9 is all right too. After that, you'll start prioritizing the damage per Dark Shroud stack and slap on the creeping death aspect, seeing it's by far the strongest damage over time aspect for us. It's also the reason we want to spread out the different crowd controls we do, as each one boosts our damage against non-bosses. If you manage to get a Fists of Fate that ain't shit, then you should be able to get most crowd controls up fast as hell. But I'm not done with this weapon yet, because you also need to know that a crossbow is dog shit for this build, seeing that it's only Andariel's dealing damage, and a bow is way faster. On top of this, make sure to socket ultimate skill gems in the weapons for the Perragons later. For the other weapons, you're grabbing Shard of Varathiel to start spending resources, and for the attack speed, along with the Coombringer if you have it. This is mainly for hordes though, and I typically swap to the conceited aspect when I'm killing bosses and shit. Just know that you may need to swap some dex gems for rubies instead, depending on your defensives, in case you need a bit more tankiness. Alright, and finally, we have the jewelry. And I'm not talking about my personal family jewels. even though I'd love to talk about them, but rather the amulet and rings. This amulet is mid at best. Frigid Finesse is bonkers, but the other stats are not great. Ideally, you want Unstable Elixir and Exploit here. Even Lucky Hit would be good, just not the attack speed man. To keep energy up, we're also tempering innovation ranks on our jewelry. This, along with the Starless, is one way to sort resources. Don't have Starless? That's all right, bud. Just slap on the Beastfall boots or the Starlight aspect. Beastfall boots are bugged with the Cold Clip aspect and grants infinite energy regen. The Starlight aspect, on the other hand, also grants you infinite energy, seeing as it grants energy the more you heal, and the Andariel's helmet grants a buttload of healing. This is what I'm using in the Shit Noobie version currently. Other than that, though, you'll grab a ring with the Cold Clip aspect, along with Lucky Hit Dex and Max Life. Definitely not attack speed. We've gone way overboard with that by now, Mao. Well, shit, son. Gear and aspects are now done. Let's talk about some important matters, shall we? First out are the attack speed caps. Ava the God Gamer has found the different breakpoints, and Sanctum was so kind as to make us a calculator. Link in the description. What you basically need to know is that the game is fucking stupid and can't calculate properly. Due to this, we have different frames breakpoints. The lower, the better. In between these frames, all the attack speed is useless. The maximum number of frames we can get for Heartseeker is 11. So that's what we're getting by sorting 100% in the first bucket and 82.5 in the second. The first cap is easily solved, but the second one we do like this. We have enhanced Heartseeker. We have 3 points in alchemical advantage, close quarters combat, and then the Shard of Varathiel for 40-something unless you're a rich boy. If you were to use a crossbow here, then you'd basically fuck yourself over. The second important matter being the specialization. Because to have an actual build here, we need this specialization. By spending a buttload of resources, we in turn reset our ultimate cooldown. And in the Perragons, that will grant us 45% big dam, along with a huge barrier in the skill tree. And finally, I also want to show you some alternative ways of gaming this build. You'll see some different variations in the planner as well, but for starters, you can ditch Poison Trap for Shadow Step. This is easy and nothing you need to worry about. If you do this, then you may as well ditch Shadow Clone for Death Trap, seeing as it has a lower cooldown. Another cool thing you can do is to ditch Poison Trap and grab Poison Imbuement instead. And why would you want to do that? Well, damn son, because then you can grab Eldritch Bounty in the Perragons for 20% big dam. On average, it's less damage than our Poison Trap, but it allows for a more zoomy playstyle. It does, however, force you to do a few swaps in the Perragons, so that's up to you if you want to play around with it. Oh shit. It's already skill tree of fucking clock. We better get going. Starting us off, we're grabbing Heartseeker along with Enhanced and Primary Heartseeker. This, along with Tempering, allows us to bust out 4 Heartseekers per cast, all able to get us some lovely Andariel Novas. Next up are the core skills which sucks ass, so we're not using those. Instead, we want some agility skills. A bit of damage reduction here, along with Unstable Elixir, which is perfect on your amulet as well. Enhanced Caltrops grants a massive damage multiplier mainly on bosses, and Dash is for mobility. Next we go to the subterfuge skills and pick up a shit ton of skills. Dark Shroud ranks are great as to not fucking die El Mao. On top of that, we have some lovely damage bonuses, Enhanced Smoke Grenade for the damage bonus it provides, along with Poison Trap for the 15% damage bonus. This one does, however, grant us just a bit more than that though. Because it knocks enemies down, we are also gaining the second bonus of Malice using this. It's also an easy way to keep up the bugged Deadly Ambush node in the Perragons. And why is this bugged? Well, shit, it works on non-crits as well. We then go back to the skill tree and head for the imbuements. Here we want all of the poison bonuses, along with enhanced cold imbuement. This is as to gain vulnerable on enemies with ease, allowing us to skip that shit on the gear. We also have frigid finesse here, which is our main multiplier. 80% damage bonus? Fuck yes, my man or woman. After that, it's time for the ultimates. Innovation keeps our energy up with ease. Second Wind is just massive for the defensives, and we can also utilize Alchemist's Fortune since we're using cold imbuement on our Heartseekers. And finally, the key passive. Close Quarters is simply the only one that is not complete dogshit, granting at least some attack speed and multiplicative damage. Well, shit, will you look at that? We successfully completed the skill tree. What do you say we go take a peek at the Perragons now, shall we? No, you don't want to do that. You want to subscribe to Mr. Perra Gaming instead? Yeah, fine, I'll wait. You fucking legend. Starting us off, we pick up control for the massive multiplier, as well as rocking crowd control damage, which we utilize in the key passive. It's then time for the massively buffed cheap shot node, along with slapping on the fluidity glyph real good right here for big hecking dam and defensives. After that, we go for the no witness board. This is the reason we want ultimate skill damage as gems, for the massive multiplier it provides when combined with these nodes. We're also socketing Tracker here, as it's just bonkers. After that, we go to pick up the bugged deadly ambush node and socket Bane with ease for more poison damage. It's then time for the tricks of the trade board, which we obviously skip and socket exploit instead. Now we do have a lot of vulnerable uptime already, but this one makes sure that everything is vulnerable in hordes, and while we're speed blasting just from one Andariel Nova, so it's pretty goddamn important. For final board, we're grabbing the no witness node and socketing Canny for some lovely damage. Well shit, Perragons complete. What time is it now? Time to get hecking good, my man or woman, and you know it. The playstyle changes in 3 ways, depending on if you're speedrunning pits, blasting down bosses, or dominating the infernal hordes. For starters, we have the pits. Here, you're mainly just blasting through content, pressing all your skills on cooldown and try not to bust a nut as you're doing it. Dash is used for mobility, whereas you're only using Poison Trap, Caltrops, and Smoke Grenade on rough elites. Shadow Clone can, however, be used pretty much any time you want, seeing as we get it back up with ease. You also need to know that whenever you chug a potion, you gain the damage from unstable elixirs, so make sure to do that. Now for the bosses, we need to do a bit of planning. This is because our absolute main source of damage comes during stagger phases. So what you want to do here is to go full big dick on the boss during this time, make sure that all of your cooldowns are up, and that you've stacked up your enhanced caltrops. You want all of this done just as the boss is staggered, and you will start seeing poison ticks in the billions with ease. And finally, the hordes. This is easily the most fun part, as this is where we are rocking Shroud of Khanduras ideally. If you don't like it, then you can 1, suck a dick, and 2, don't use it. But it boosts your ether income to the fucking moon. What you then do is you blast, and you evade, blast, and evade. Because every time you evade, you'll pull in enemies along with dropping an Andariel Nova on their sorry asses. This also allows you to throw out a smoke bomb and poison trap onto the enemies at the same time, allowing you to utilize all of your yummy damage boosting multipliers on them. When it comes to the bosses, I typically just swap out my Coombringer and Shroud of Khanduras for more damage, seeing as we can just kill the bosses in 1 or 2 staggers, making them easy peasy. You then just do the exact thing you did to the pit bosses. Try to keep caltrops up and pop all your cooldowns as the bosses are about to get staggered, and enjoy the billions of damage. And that, my friends, is all for this one. See you in the next one, Kings.